Mac.
All right, we are live with Alexander Lobos. As I was just telling the rest of the crew, the commercial, the Dos Equis commercial with the most interesting man is actually based on Alexander's life. Um, he's the most interesting man in the world from my perspective. I came across Alexander through Keegan. He hopped on to Uncom last year, and we were doing a little group call, and the things he was saying was just blowing my mind. It was resonating so deeply that I reached out to him the very next day and I said, "Hey, we need to do a podcast right away," because I was into the podcasting at the time, and we had an awesome podcast that really blew my mind. He goes really deep into spirituality, the inner world, how that relates with our outer world. I don't have any idea what he actually does. He's that's why I call him the most interesting man because I think he has many businesses. He's living in a foreign country. You never know where he is, and yeah, I he think he's a huge fan of mentorship. He has his own version of Paul Counsel. He has a mentor who's lived a long life, and he works really closely with that man. I can tell he has a very open and curious mind. He brings that childlike nature to everything he does, and I think that's what I love most about him. Is he's such a curious soul that's always expanding and always he's always teaching too. He loves to teach. So yeah, I'm pumped up for this, and it's great to have you here.
Thank you, Max. That was a nice introduction, brother. Pleasure, pleasure. Yeah, so like Max said, I was very fortunate to be a curious guy from a very early age. And so I started asking a lot of questions because I always felt, since about 4 or 5 years old, I remember sitting in the kindergarten and I remember reflecting for myself as I am today. I was the same person at one level, so probably from the soul. And I thought to myself, what is wrong with all these aunties? They're all depressed and sad, and there's only one here that's actually giving me some good energy and some love. And I thought to myself, this can't be. I was 5 years old, and I was always able to feel the energy of people. So this has been with me. It's just a part of my nature. And so I always thought there has to be more, there has to be more, there has to be more. I never believed in death, for example, since an early age. I remember as crazy as it sounds, our teacher, elementary school teacher, in second or third or fourth grade, he asked us a question. He says, "Guys, how old do you think you will be before you die?" And in this very second, that yeah, I know everybody they react like, how could he ask such a question? But I think it was in a playful manner. And so in the second he asked that question, I was bursting from the inside. I thought, holy shit, like this question just put something in me. And I couldn't wait to give my answer because everybody were giving their answer 90, 100, 200, 500, 85. And I said, I will live forever. I will never die. I can't, it's impossible to die. And so I always kept that belief with me. I always knew there was something more. I never got the answers to what it was. And so at the age of 18, 19, I moved away from home. I moved to Copenhagen, Denmark. I'm originally from Norway. I played poker as a living, online poker, and did that for some time. And I met some friends there who kind of introduced me into the the Illuminati. I never heard about it. Okay, so we started watching documentaries, and then you go from one rabbit hole to the next. It never stops. So finish about learning about the world, who runs the world, who runs the media, who runs the pharmaceutical industry, who made the school system and everything. So kind of get a nice idea about that. And from that, it leads more into health. Then started looking into different health practices. Then comes meditation, then comes yoga, then comes all kinds of different alternative ways of living. And so around 10 years ago, I met my mentor, and he was actually living in the same city as I was, believe it or not. And I met him through my best friend. and he's a Qigong and Tai Chi master, but much more than that. And he, for the first time, was able to put all the teachings that I had learned from all the self-help gurus around, all the Tony Robbins's, the Wayne Dyers, the Deepak Chopras, the Joe Dispenzas, and all the Indian gurus and Yogananda and whatnot. He was able to scientifically explain to me more or less the signs of reality. And this, the second I met him, it was as if I had known him my whole life and I came home. And ever since then, he has kind of explained to me the spiritual science, the science of our identity, the science of our souls, the chakra systems, and whatnot. But more important than that, he has given me practical tools to apply so I can actually experience it. And he told me, I remember as if it was yesterday, and I always tell people this. He said to me, once you start working with the essential, once you start working with the structure of your identity and who you really are, which is light, you will go from one amazement to the other. It will never stop. And lo and behold, I can tell you guys, I've gone from one amazement to the other. It never stops. People are talking about breaking out of the matrix, becoming successful, and that's amazing stuff. And literally now I'm living in a day-to-day reality where I expect these, I will not say unexpected, but if a billionaire comes to me tomorrow and says he wants to give me $20 million because he wants me to give my message out into the world, I would say, sure, let's do it. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because the veil, once you start to really work with the essential things of your soul, the veil becomes so thin. Because I'm sure everybody on this call, are aware of the quantum mechanics and the quantum physics and all this stuff, and that we're spiritual beings, and we're living in a, whatever people want to call it, a simulation, illusion, or it doesn't matter. But people know, I guess, on this call that there's much more than what meets the eye. And so when Max asked me about doing this talk, I was like, okay, sure, I can do that, but I don't know what should I talk about. And then I saw one of the things everybody here is talking about is success. And then I thought, okay, so what does it take actually to be successful? Because the drug cartels in Mexico are extremely successful. They are making a bunch of money, but it's worth nothing. So where does real success come from? And from my understanding and from what I have learned, and what makes completely most sense to me, is to bring out that which is your talent, which is printed. It's a blueprint in your soul when God created you. And it's our responsibility to bring that gift out into the world as a service. And then people say, okay, so how do you do that? And then you have to get an understanding of the structure of your identity, because just the same as your body has a structure, your soul needs to have a structure too. And it's actually an electronic structure. And then your aura also needs to have a structure. And then your chakras also needs to have a structure. And as I applied the practical tools from my mentor, I saw that I gained success after success after success. And it is impossible for me to explain how it is. I can talk until the cows come home about this, but it will be impossible for me unless somebody actually has some kind of similar protocol that they do in terms of connecting or attuning to that higher genius, which Mozart did, and Tesla's and the inventors, because if you take a look at it, from all the great minds, they say there's an attunement that happens to the higher mind of us, because we do actually, everybody has gone to church and seen the beautiful halos around saints. But the fact of the matter is, actually every single living human being has a halo. And that is called your higher self, your Christ mind, or the mediator between you and God. And all the information that is meant for you is right up here. But you have to learn how to pull it down. into your heart, so it can travel to your brain, and you can get from your intuition, you can get information, and then you get inspiration, and then you go out into the world and use your physical body to manifest that which is meant for you. And so he taught me about the science of this, and this is what real success is to bring out your own uniqueness, because everybody's unique, everybody's important in the grand scheme of things. So the real success lies in that, to bring out your creativity. And creativity is also something that was given to you. It's a spiritual quality, because when we were created, God gave us the ability to create, and he gave us free will to create. And we're supposed to be creating towards perfection and not towards what we see today with a lot of stuff. But how are you going to be able to create that? Again, you need to resonate. You need to resonate with that higher in order to radiate it out into the world. And so that's where the real success comes in. And there's a scientific way, I will say, in order to access that part of you, to get that information which is exactly meant for you, nobody else. And then, you just take that and you bring it out into the world. And that's how fulfillment comes about, And yeah, Max, I don't know if you have any questions, or anybody has any questions, but at least that's what's on my heart for the time being.
It's powerful stuff. Does anyone have any questions for Alexander based on what he just shared? I mean, I've got plenty of them, but I'd rather hear from you guys.
I don't know. There was a lot to unpack there. I mean, I would say I had a similar journey, like in terms of my work life. I started actually researching random stuff in terms of how the world works. Like when you said Illuminati and random stuff, I just wanted to figure out more and more. So I think I have a curious mind like yourself. I also sort of, I don't believe in coincidence. I feel like a lot of stuff, happens for a reason like that. I just in terms of can you go more into like the what you were talking about in terms of accessing the information that is basically available to you, but that most people just don't understand that it's there?
Absolutely, man. It's like, first of all, we have to realize that we are more than the body. This is like the basic things. And everybody's got a talent which is hidden in their spiritual identity. And that's where the creativity comes from. And that is the thing that has to come forth. Otherwise, you base the stuff on technicality, and you can be successful for a while. But now the new frontier, which is coming in the world, and I'm sure everybody knows this at some level inside of themselves. They can feel it, they can sense it, that there's something about developing the inner life and the originality of each individual soul. So the goal is that each one will follow their intuition and bring out the original creativity, which is themselves. Basically, it is who you are. And that's where the real success comes from. And so let's say that, since you, like I talked about the higher mind, the halo above everybody's head. And so he has taught me what he calls the most essential meditation that exists on the face of the earth. Because he says, again, it's like you can meditate on a candle, or the Bible, which is beautiful, or the Quran, or the Torah, or whatever it is, and it will bring you something. But if you want to make real change in your structure of identity, which is an electronic presence, your aura is electronic, all our feelings and thoughts are electric. You have to realize that through this life, or let's just say past lives, you have brought in patterns of thinking and feeling and doing things that literally are stuck in our auric field, which makes us habitual to situations, meaning you have an automatic reaction without you even thinking about. And I always bring this example forth. I say, because I know it myself and I've done it, and I know it. It's, you go to a cafe, there's a bunch of beautiful women, and you just drooling inside. You want to feel like the god and go to them and introduce yourself and say, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. I thought you're really beautiful. Can we get to know each other? Can I get your number? But you want to do it in a way, not from your dick. You want to do it from this place, from the heart. Because if you do it from this head or the lower head, the energy is not real, and the women, they pick it up like this. It's like you're putting a cactus in their auric field, and they get repulsed. So why are you not able to come with that nice energy from your heart? Because you're run by patterns which are stuck in your auric field, and these patterns override your natural what can I say, your natural qualities as a soul. And so these patterns, I call them the big black elephant and the big drunk monkey. The monkey is the mind, the elephant is the emotions. And these are patterns. Think about them like structures around your aura. So the only way to undo these patterns and to become free is by pulling down light. Because every time you pull down that light from your higher self, your Christ self, or from God, or the universal force, you're putting a small white patch on that monkey and a small white patch on that elephant, and you're pushing them a little bit further away from you. It's as if you pull down the light, right? And you pull and you kind of press out, you expand your aura. So let's say you do that for a week every day, you start to resonate with that higher mind. So now when you go out into the daily life, you're radiating more because that you have pushed the patterns away, and the world's energy don't stick to you as easily anymore. So next time after a week, you've been doing all these meditation, you go out to the same cafe, all the same beautiful girls are there, and you're walking in with your heart, and you go to them, you're not afraid to look them in the eyes, because that's one of the things, sometimes you look and you look away because in your head somewhere you're not good enough, or blah 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 blah, whatever it is. But this time you hold your eyes on whoever meets you, and you go there with zero thought from the upper or lower head. You go there because there's a resonance somewhere from the soul, because everybody has a soul, and the last form of communication is talking. There's a communication that goes on way before we even say a word, and that's energetic, and that comes from the soul. So if you are able to hold, let's say, a large amount of light in your heart and your soul, all the souls around you will pick it up consciously or unconsciously. And all the souls in the world, they just want to break free and come back home, simply. And if you have a methodology that actually can help them with that, even greater, maybe when you go to that lady because you feel intuitively you want to say hi to her, that there is a reason for that goes way beyond our rational mind or what you can understand at this point. So anyways, you go, you introduce yourself, there's a great connection. She can feel that you're coming from the heart, because one thing I can say, the words that come from the heart compared to the heads, it's two different worlds. And when the words come from your heart, they resonate within the other people's soul. It's light, and you nourish the people you talk with, and they can feel it. They can't deny it. And of course, the more the other person is also attuned, she can pick it up more easily, and then there's a resonance. And then it can be a friendship, it can be an opportunity, it can be whatever it is. And so our only goal in life is literally to manifest our original potential and creativity and bring that gift out into the world. And I have so far I have a 15-20 episode podcast that I've done with my mentor that we're putting together as a course and as a thing. We've been working on it for over a year. I'm not active on social media at this point yet, but everything is coming. And the reason why I have such confidence in this is because I traveled to India to stay with some gurus. I've pretty much feel that I've kind of gotten an idea of what's out there in terms of spirituality and new age stuff and all the Paul checks and all the whatever it is, all the grand names, the Tony Robbinses and whatever. And still to this day, I have not found one that even comes close to being able to give something as practical and effective and essential as my mentor. The only one that's the closest, I would say, is Joe Dispenza. But even he, on many things, don't go to the same depth. And so this is kind of like a spiritual science, a science about the soul, a science about reality. And, you know, I've been bubbling for 10 years to share this with the world, and I'm getting very close, you know, and I know that once you start taking care of that part of yourself, you will go from one amazement to the other. It never, ever, ever stops. You live one level, you get the key to do one level, you unlock that, you get to the next level, and you have to be there properly. And then you get another key to another level, and so on, and so on, and so on. And another thing I also want to say is that we're not alone. Like, we are really not alone. Whoever's up there looking at us, they can see which light is turned on and who's doing their job. And we have help from unseen places. Maybe some people are able to see that. I'm not, but I can tell that, you know, we're not alone. And I know there's an adjustment of consciousness happening on the planet where we're actually, you know, the Vedas, they talk about this Kali Yuga, the dark times, and, you know, the lowering of the consciousness. And we now know that there's scientific evidence about Atlantis and old civilization where they were far more advanced than us. And you know, it's, if you believe in the incredible potential of the human soul and the essence of who you are, which is God, then it just makes sense that everything else is also in a way unlimited, meaning how long has humans existed in some form or shape? How long have your soul existed, you know? And I think that
Do you mind if I ask you a
as
question,
more and more,
Alexander?
yeah, go on.
As it, I guess you can take it in whatever way you want, but I know you're really into the concept of just really what Uncom is about is, like, you know, bringing masculinity back. And we talk about that a lot on our podcast. Like, can you touch a little bit on, like, what your vision personally is with, like, when you do decide to bring it to the world, and how does that relate to the crisis of, you know, lack of masculinity?
Yeah. Well, I will say that men have 100% responsibility for everything that's fucked up in the world. We are 100% responsibility for everything that's shit. The women have zero responsibility because God gave us a superior physicality, meaning we automatically have a different and bigger responsibility to
Recording in progress.
To keep law and order. And so when you live from that, let's just say it, from the inner life, which means you are directed by your intuition and your soul, which is directly from God. This energy cannot be faked, and this will make you do the right choices, say the right words. In general, I'm talking, you will always fuck up along the way, regardless. But this is what will bring peace and safety to the women and take them to be drawn towards that instead of what we're seeing today. So at the end of the day, it's all up to us. And of course, you can be masculine and everything without with being an atheist too. But the full package is you have to have the inner and the outer. And that's where we create a, because when you're living from your inner life, you don't want to be going out having sex with a girl every, you know, 3 different girls a month or a week or a day, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't give you anything. It doesn't satisfy your soul. You automatically don't care about these things. You care about bringing your gift as a service to the world and pretty much just always resonating with that higher part of yourself so you can go out and radiate into the world. And then no physical thing will be able to mask anything, to mask any of your, or let me say it like this: when you have all that, when you live from the inner life, all the outer things just become secondary. Of course, you want millions in the banks or billions. Of course, you want a beautiful family and a great body. But all that comes as a part of putting that inner life first, because you automatically will do the right choices. You will know what to eat, what to think, what to say. Everything comes. And when you have that holistic man, then that's real masculinity. And then you know what kind of people to connect with. You automatically, you feel it because you have your senses on point, and opportunities come. And that's how masculinity comes back as a whole. Women become, because women fit more into us than we into them, because of the difference in physical strength. So I hope that answers your question, Max, to some degree.
Yeah, 100%. It's spot on from what I can see, and I mean, I'm just excited to see where you go with your journey. It's really interesting to see like this idea that like most people will say just start sharing with the world, right? Like just get your message out there. There's also a lot of sentiment to doing what you're doing, where you're waiting till you're at that level where you can come to people at this elite level already and share a message that spreads. Like I think a lot of the people that I follow have a similar story. Like say Ben Patrick, for example, like he had put in 7-8 years of like becoming pretty much the hardest working trainer on the planet before he really took online serious. And Hormozy, same thing, right? Hormozy was basically just grinding on his business, and there's definitely sentiment to both paths. I think it's really powerful to just share your journey as well. Like Gary Vee says, just document your journey. There's also a lot of sentiment to what you're doing. So I don't know. That's a challenge. That's something I think about a lot. I've kind of decided to just start sharing. But like, for example, in the last 9 months of my life, I needed to just take a step back and not share and reset and grow so that I can then come out into the world and express myself. So is there any last things that you want to share, or does anybody have any last questions? We have about 2 minutes before Maxime's going to go.
I just wanted to know when do you think you're going to have that podcast out? Because I thought you were super interesting.
I think by the end of the summer, perhaps already next month, but before fall, we will start having snippets out here and there. And I always joke, but not joked about, because I really believe it. It's an inner belief that I have. Again, I don't know where it's coming from, but I have an idea where it's coming from. And I'm saying it because of the confidence that I have in this science, that we can create the world's most conscious community. Literally. Because I haven't found anything more effective or essential that makes a change that quick, although it's a lifelong process, So I think Max, he shared my Instagram on, and one of the things I do, I share more and more on that page, on stories mostly. And maybe this talk here now will make me up it a little bit and start sharing a little bit more. But it's coming. It's right around the corner, I would say.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your time, Alexander. It's been awesome. And after Maxime's talk, if anybody else has more questions, if you want to stick around, you're welcome to, and more people can ask.
I have one last thing to say, a
Sure.
little bit, Max, just as a finish, because I wrote some small snippets here, and what I wrote is that for those who take the steps and bring out their creativity by their inner life, will bring about a fresh new way of doing things. It will be beauty, and beauty will be there, and they're going to feel the love inside, because the love aspect is always there in what you are giving, doing, or creating. And love is a vibration that has to accompany creativity, otherwise it becomes dry. The love is what makes it unique, and people will be attracted to it, and you'll create something amazing. So the love, which is vibrationally connected to the universal and to the creativity, comes with patience and clarity. You have to be patient. You can't do this overnight. First, you have to do the work and wait for that moment of pling, enlightenment. Like when you say, yeah, I got it now. I know what I have to do. So you have to go and develop the inner life. You have to sit and meditate and see how you can take care of the soul and get in tune with the talents you are born with. Many people might have known it all their life that they're different. And it's worth the wait because it's the contribution of your life, basically. You won't be selling hot dogs on the beach. That's nice, but there's other things for you to do. And now today, to be a coach is not bad or anything like this, and it's necessary for the change on a global level that many are coaches and bringing about. But it's kind of like floating on the river, and you might as well touch the real thing, and from there you develop it, and then you gain access, and everyone has a chance to succeed. Everybody's unique, and everyone has a chance to create their own freedom. If you want to be successful, you have to create something. Creativity has to be a part of that and how you create. You have to have this attunement, intuition, inspiration, information cycle, and also the love feeling has to be in your creative act. When you put love in your creative act, it also has a tendency of cohesion, and it gives your cohesion to your concept. And that's it.
Powerful stuff. I'm probably gonna listen to that back when I go to bed tonight. I'll just play
Thank you.
I'll play it on repeat. Maybe incorporate it into my affirmations or something like that. Cool. I'm gonna pause the recording and we'll get into MX.